Hello there, friends. It's Jimmy Maverick. Welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Maverick podcast. And today we're going to talk about running backs on a contract year. I love contract year players. There's a lot of names you need to know about and which ones I like best. So let's just get started. Here we go.
Listen up. It's time for the Fantasy Maverick podcast, starring the guy who's going to help you win that fantasy championship, Jimmy Maverick.
Hello there, friends. It's Jimmy Maverick. Welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Maverick podcast. And hey, before I forget, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this podcast, as I'm going to be doing 2 podcasts a week now. I'm getting myself back on that horse. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, and so I want to help you win your fantasy draft. In my personal opinion, the most important part of your fantasy season is the draft. It's 50% of your ability to achieve success in fantasy football. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here to help you. That's why I have my app, my draft tool, my perfect fantasy draft, to help people with their fantasy drafts. Now, today we are going to talk about running backs on a contract year and which ones I like best. And I'm just going to say it again. I have a soft spot for contract year players. I love the upside of those players. Last year was a lousy year for contract year players, which was very weird, but that is atypical. Every year, these players offer tremendous upside to have career best seasons or even record-breaking seasons because of the fact they're on a contract year. Now, before I go into the running back list, I want to just follow up from last week where I was talking about quarterbacks on a contract year, and I got to say, man, it was a great week for Sam Darnold. I'm actually very excited about Sam Darnold, and I think his fantasy upside is tremendous right now. But 3 things happened, and they were all good for him. The first thing is they traded away Teddy Bridgewater. The second thing is that they activated his 5th-year option. That's a very, very positive thing. And then the third thing is that they didn't draft a quarterback in the draft. So this means, man, this is Sam Darnold's team, and he's going to have a chance to shine. He's got excellent offensive pieces all around him, which he never had as a Jet. He's away from Adam Gase, which, again, the Adam Gase effect is real, man. These players, they come off, they're lousy under Gase. Gase goes away, all of a sudden they're good. And that's what's going to happen with Sam Darnold. I really, really like him. He's moved up just a bit on the draft board now. He's at about 218, but again, that's outside most everybody's draftable players. Most drafts only go to pick 180, so he's a non-drafted player in most leagues. He's the guy you can get with the last pick in your draft, 0 draft capital to get him. And I got to tell you, I am borderline right now saying he is a viable QB1. I'm not quite there yet. I actually just did I think I'm bigger on Trevor Lawrence than I would be for Sam Darnold, but I think Sam Darnold is right there, man. He's in my mind, he's like around a 13 to 16, a QB 13 to QB 16. So he's just outside the QB1 position for me right now. We're going to have to see what happens during the preseason and stuff for this to further develop, but Sam Darnold is a guy you definitely want to have on your target list for your fantasy drafts. So let's go into the running backs. And this is a year, there are a ton of running backs on contract year. Now, on my app, My Perfect Fantasy Draft, I mark all players that are coming off of their rookie contract, and they get either a gold $sign or a silver $sign next to their name. A gold $sign means that player, their contract expires at the end of the 2021 season. And a silver means that their contract expires at the end of the 2022 season. Now, when it comes to running backs, the way that these markations impact them is as follows. So both these things are good designations, and they give bonuses to the player's outlook. By increasing the player's outlook, you increase their VORC score in my app. By increasing the VORC score, that moves these players up to the top of the draft board list when you're in draft mode, makes them easy to see and easy to find, okay? Now, I have it divided based on if they're an elite level player or if they're not. So elite for me is any player that's in the top 24 as far as ADP is concerned. Now, for those players, the silver contract year is a better designation. And the reason is because elite level players very rarely go to their contract year. Most of them get extended before that. So you want to hit them on the season before they get that big contract extension. And so players in the top 24, you want the silver designation gives them +2 to their outlook. A gold dollar contract year gives them +1. So it's good either way, but it's just better if they're 2 years out from their contract expiring. Now, after pick 24, it switches, it reverses. So the gold dollar is more valuable, +2 to their outlook, and the silver dollar only gives them +1. So that's how it works. So I'm just going to talk about the elite level players, and there's 3 elite level running backs on a contract year this season. And I talked about a couple of these guys briefly during the quarterback episode, but it's because these guys, their quarterback is also on a contract year. And what I love is when there's 2 offensive players both on a contract year, they tend to feed off each other and they tend to have a great season together. Last example of this was 2019 with Amari Cooper and Dak Prescott. Okay, both those guys had career seasons on a contract year on the same team. So I love to see that. And the 2 players I'm talking about are Saquon Barkley and Nick Chubb. So I like them both. Saquon actually has the silver dollar next to his name. Nick Chubb has a gold dollar next to his name. Of these 2, I like Nick Chubb more. Just because of the way the offense is run and his history. Saquon has issues with Daniel Jones. That's all there is to it. There's issues there, plus the injuries. So I do like Nick Chubb more. I'm not sure I'm going to be drafting Saquon in any of my drafts this year, despite the contract year. But I do hope for him to return to what he did in his rookie year, because that was a tremendous year. But the guy I want to talk about in the elite level is Miles Sanders. At pick number 24, he's got a silver dollar next to his name, so it's +2 to the outlook. And I got to say, I love his outlook this year, his upside, tremendous. He actually had a pretty good season last year, despite the fact that he was out for 4 games with an injury, but he was averaging 5.6 yards per carry. Outstanding. That is really, really good. I think he can build on that there. He played much better once Jalen Hurts became the quarterback, because now you've got 2 running threats in the backfield. So I think that, and obviously Philadelphia is trying to make some strides to improve their receiving core. This team was basically a bottom dweller when it came to receivers last year, one of the worst in the league, and probably one of the worst in NFL history. Only 2,000 receiving yards from Philadelphia receivers last year. That is awful. There's nowhere to go but up, and I think this is the year it's going to happen. So I really like Miles Sanders. He's like one of my primary targets as a second-round player. Really, really like his upside. Now, I'm only going to talk about, because there's so many names to talk about here, I'm only going to talk about the ones that I'm really interested in, the ones that I'm really keeping an eye on here. And so after the elite tier, the next player I want to talk about is Chase Edmonds of the Arizona Cardinals. Now, obviously, his value took a bit of a hit when they brought in James Conner, but the fact is James Conner can't stay healthy. And because of that, I think this is Chase Edmonds' year to shine. Contract year for him. He's a gold dollar player. That's +2 to his outlook. I really, really, really like his upside here. There is obviously that offense is going to be great. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, here is another player whose quarterback is also on a contract year. Kyler Murray is on a contract year this year as well. I didn't even realize that as I was talking. I just realized that right now. I'm like, oh my God, they're on the same team. That's great too. So that's extra bonus, extra upside there. Chase Edmonds is a guy I'm definitely going to be targeting. Right now his ADP is at about 60. I think he's going to move up a bit from there. But I would not fall into the trap of James Conner. I just don't like, again, the injury risk is tremendous. Last year was a contract year for James Conner. He blew it. Players that blow it on a contract year, I'm usually totally out on, and so he's one of them. But anyway, there you go. So that's a guy you definitely need to know. Next guy, right around the same level, right around the same place there, Myles Gaskin at pick number 62. He's a silver dollar player, so he doesn't get as much of a bump as Chase Edmonds. But again, another player that's in a great position to have success with an improved offense. I think there's lots of good things to happen here. So Myles Gaskin is definitely on my list as well. Although right now, between those 2, I'm going Chase Edmonds. But that's where I'm at. Now, there's also 2 New England running backs with contract years this year. Damian Harris at number 67 and Sony Michel at 154. Now, Harris is a silver dollar player. Michel is a gold dollar player. And I got to say, now, as a general rule, with Bill Belichick, I never, ever take a New England running back before pick 100. So the fact that Damian Harris is at pick number 67 is like a total no-go for me. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to waste my pick on the way he uses his running backs. But Sony Michel is at pick number 154 with a gold dollar next to his name. So this is his last year. So he's got to do something if he wants to stay on the team or if he wants to get a good extension elsewhere. So Sony Michel, very low risk right now where he's going. I mean, we're talking 154. That's like 13th round. I will absolutely spend a 13th round pick on Sony Michel because the upside is there. He can get tremendous volume in that offense. He hasn't done much with it, but he can get it, and all it takes is like an injury to Damian Harris, and he can get the lion's share of the work. That's usually the way it works with New England. One of the other players has to get injured in order for your guy to do anything for fantasy. But like I said, I like Sony Michel. He's a great option there. Outside of that, I mean, these guys, again, when you're talking backups, you're talking guys, Boston Scott, who is the backup to Miles Sanders, is also on a gold dollar contract year. I think I would definitely handcuff him. You've got Benny Snell, who is going to be the handcuff to Najee Harris. Now, Najee Harris is on the Steelers, man, and it's a silver dollar year for him, so he's a good pickup. Alexander Madison, silver dollar for him. He's a guy who's never done anything when Dalvin Cook's been injured, so I'm not really thrilled with that. But again, we're talking at this point in the draft. When you're at this point in the draft, you are picking backups. You're picking players that you're hoping something will happen this year, that maybe they'll be able to do something. But this is all stuff to keep an eye on. I think maybe the only other person I might be interested in is Darrell Henderson, because I really think that the Rams are becoming like a run-first offense. I do very much like Cam Akers as the lead back, but you think Darrell Henderson is going to be in a RBBC kind of situation. What his percentage will be, I don't know, 30%, 40% or whatever. Still probably viable as a fantasy player, and it's a silver dollar contract year for him. So that's that's what I want to talk about. Oh, look at this. Tony Pollard at pick number 90. I'm kind of out on Zeke. I love Zeke, but I don't know, man. I think he's done. I think there's not much tread left on those tires. Tony Pollard has played fantastic in relief of him. That's another option, man. A silver dollar player. Again, there's upside there. So anyway, that's it for the running backs. But again, I'm going to put the list up so you can see the list here. So I'm going to put all the gold dollar people on the left, all the silver dollar people on the right. So you can take a look at this list, mark these guys on your draft board, because these are names you need to know. And these guys all offer some degree of upside. But some of them have counterweights that are going to bring them down. But anyway, but there you go. So those are the guys I like best as far as running back contract year players this year. So thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you have any questions about any of these players or any other players you're thinking of, please drop me a note down below. I'd love to hear from you. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. I do appreciate that. Of course, we still got two more positions to talk about, tight ends and wide receivers. Again, a lot of players on a contract year this year. So there's a lot of names to talk about. Who do we like best? I will be tackling that in future episodes. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. And anyway, we will talk again soon. So have yourself a great fantasy day, and I will see you later.